Hi, my name is Justin. I'm from the Huffman Community Centre of Excellence here. I work with the Early Childhood Education Department. And today we're running an information session on the Certificate 3 and Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care. We're just going to go through, so the Certificate 3 is an entry-level course into the industry. So for anyone who's passionate about working with children, seeing them grow and develop and work through the process, this is an excellent opportunity to really branch out. This is also the entry-level qualification into the industry as well, and allows you to work directly once you complete the course. So the course runs over and so this qualification very much reflects the industry and the representation. So obviously, naturally, we work with children in a variety of different settings, but we also work with a variety of diverse adults as well, to bring the most to the children and just really allow them to really flourish in their environment, but also to help them just to develop and grow through the years as well. So the career options going through Certificate 3 are quite broad actually, which is really excellent to see. So the main predominant you will see is a long daycare centre, and so those usually run from about 6:30 to 6:30. We also have family daycare as well, and occasional care, which is usually depending on the services of the educators themselves, but also to allow that flexibility for family. And then also very much so we have a preschool environment, and in those preschool environments we're very much work for kindergarten age, and work through local standalone kinders as well. And then the final one there you'll notice is out of school hours care. And in out of school hours care, that's very much your holiday programs, but also your before and after school care as well. Great, and so we work through a variety of different study areas. So the predominant study areas will depend on the units that we study, and we'll go through that a little bit later on as well. So some of the ones that we cover are cultural diversity, providing care for children, obviously something that we're very much all here for, and working with babies and toddlers, working through first aid, working through linguistics, language, but also working through legal and ethical, first aid, as well as the learning early framework and holistic development. So it's very much a broad range. It's not just simply spending time with children, but really understanding how they play, how they interact, and how they grow. Great, so as I've spoken before, the course is broken up into a series of units. So we have 18 units in total across the qualification, but in that qualification we have 15 core units. So these are units discovered by the government and laid out according to the industry requirements. So you notice that there's quite a few familiar. We'll also give you a comprehensive list on orientation with a breakdown of when we deliver those units and what they actually encompass as well. Also going through, we have 3 electives. So you notice that these 3 electives are unique from the core. These aren't necessarily electives that you guys would choose as a class. These are ones that we've discussed with the industry, we've met with educators, and we've really spent time choosing this as an institute to bring you the best qualification possible. So these 3 core then make up together with the 3 electives, go over the 18 qualifications together. And so like I was mentioning before, it's a full-time course that runs over 6 months. So the structure is a little different from first term to second term. So first term we run it over 3 days, and then second term we drop a day to allow you guys more time to study as the pace continues to quicken from there. You'll also notice too that the course delivery is face-to-face. However, we do have some online elements as well. So we work with a program which is called My Learning, which is a really great online source where we put all your resources up from the end of class. We put PowerPoint presentations, great readings. But this is also where we do a lot of our assessments, but I'll also talk about that a little later on as well. You also notice that there's a minimum of 1 day self-directed, but once again, that is up to your pace. We recommend at least 1 day to give you the most out of qualification, and that gives you an opportunity to work through your studies, as well as also do some extra reading as well, just to really boost your knowledge and understanding. And also to term breaks throughout the year will very much just run with school Victorian holidays. So stereotypically we'll have the first term holidays at the end, which usually runs for about 2 weeks, and then at the end of second term we'll have the next 2 weeks and go from there. But this will all be in the comprehensive calendar we give you at the start of the first class. Great. So we'll be starting on the 29th of January, and going all the way through to the 12th of July. So as I said, it's a 6-month course going over. So the course days, as you know, will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays, and then closer into the course we'll let you know which day we're going to drop back for second term, and that gives you a bit more time to focus from there. Classes run from 9 AM to 4 PM. That allows you guys the most maximum time during the days to really get the most out of those classes. Some times may vary depending on the class structure as well, but also very much we'll give you as much warning as we possibly can in advance to allow you guys to prepare for the outside world as well. And we understand that you guys have lives outside of class, and at the same time too, we're very flexible. So as long as you guys come to us and have a chat with us, we're more than happy to work with you as well. Great. So the assessments, as you notice, unfortunately with every class there is always assessments. The assessments come in a variety of different mediums. So we do observations in class, we have an incredible simulation lab down the hall, which is filled with an absolute range of different resources from the industry. We also do in-class assessments as well, so presentations, group discussions, but also one we do as well is an online. So for each unit, there's an online quiz, as well as an assessment task for each unit. So that way we get you guys into a bit of a structure as we go. The online quizzes are developed through My Learning, and we'll very much sit with you in the first class and any subsequent class there just to deliver and give you a bit of an idea of how it all works from there. With the assessments too, these are done either on paper form or in digital form, and then these are uploaded also online as well, just to make it a bit easier. But this is where we'll also have to give you guys your feedback online as well and really present it for you as well. So the whole thing is very comprehensible, so that whether you're in class or at home, you've got access to all the resources as well. Great. Now placement. So this is one of the best parts about this course in a sense, is that we get to do placement and go out into the industry. So the best thing is that as much as we can possibly teach you in class, you learn everything you possibly could out in the industry, and that's the best way to really sort of solidify that knowledge and to get the most out of the course. So we do two-week blocks. The first one is usually at the end of first term, and the second one, or the final one, is at the end of second term. It goes from there. So we'll give you plenty of preparation as well. We do a whole class or an afternoon dedicated to preparation of placement study, and it gives us an opportunity for you guys to ask questions and spend that time together. And also an element embedded in this is also our working with children's check and a national police check. So these are some requirements created by the industry. This just gives them a bit of added security as well. So if I can make a recommendation, if you haven't done so already, or you don't purchase, you haven't got these documents, it's a very good idea to go out now and start to prepare that either prior to class or in the first few weeks of class, because from experience these do take several weeks to come through, so it's better to be well and truly prepared, so that way you guys are ready to go out and placement as well. We also have a lovely placement coordinator here at Bendigo TAFE, and so she works very closely with the students, and she'll work with you guys as much as possible to really find you a place of recommendation, but she'll also help place you into a location, so you guys won't have to go out and venture and find your own placements. We'll do all that for you, and that's the best part, is because we build those relationships with them, and we know that they're the best possible suitors for your situation, but also too, it gives you a broad spectrum of how you go. So the first placement, we very much try to give you either under 3s or over 3s, and then on the second placement, we give you the opposite end of the spectrum to give you guys the most experience out there in the most broad range of settings and environments, to give you guys an idea of what you might enjoy, where you might find that you belong, but also gives you a bit of a taste of what it's like out in the industry as well. So that's very much the Certificate 3. So the diploma is very similar in structure. So just going forward, the diploma is the next step up from the Certificate 3, and we'll talk more about the pathways into university from there later on in the slides. But in the diploma, it's very much spanned over an 18-month period, and in that, it's a little bit more of an advanced showing. So we do a series of more units, but also too, it's an in-depth insight. And this is where you also find this is the qualification where you guys get to become room leaders. This is the one where you guys get to run an age group room, and you get to really show your leadership skills, you get to guide, but also to give you really deep understanding and in-depth knowledge of the children themselves as well. So it's just that next step up for those who are really passionate, but also those who are willing for the next challenge up. And the best part about it too is that we use the Certificate 3 as a bridge to the diploma. So don't be discouraged if you want to do the Certificate 3 first. That is an excellent option, because that gives you a broader understanding. Then you can go on into further studies as you go from there. So that's the best part about that. So like I mentioned before, as Certificate 3 has the 18 units, this one has 28 units. So we've got 23 core units which we go through, which are a bit more in-depth, but also allow a bit more understanding. And then we have 5 elective units that we've worked with the industry with, and in working in the industry, we've allowed ourselves that opportunity to really consult, but also to get a better picture of what a diploma student really needs to have in order to prepare themselves to become a room leader one day. Pretty similar to the Certificate 3, we're going into the same sort of fields as we go. One thing I didn't mention before is that you can go into a nannying service, which is great, where you build that trust with the families, but also too, the diploma allows you to open up a series of different doors. So the best part about being in a diploma is that you actually get to see the different side of working in a room. So you get to see a lot of more of the administrative side as well, but also too, you very much get to see how it works in the leadership, working with a team, dynamics with people, and so allowing you that opportunity to work in an environment like this, but also allows you future learning opportunities as well, potentially become a room director, a centre director, but also to then branch out into different areas and different industries as well. And it's a really great stepping stone for whatever's to come from you. Alex. And similar to the Certificate 3 as well, we cover a very diverse range of areas. So one of the ones we love covering in the diploma, very much so in a lot more depth, is the cultural units. And this is something that we spend several units on, just to really branch that understanding and partnership. So in each delivery of each of these study areas, as you just ventured through, we actually use a broad range of ways to really dive into these topics. We use guest speakers, we get people to come in and do chats, we get industry visits, we get simulations, and we just really immerse ourselves in these understandings, so that way we can share some knowledge, but also too, we get to learn off you guys and your experiences. And the best part about this is that every time we get to spend time in class with you guys is the time where we learn something, where we can just share stories and just really broaden our understanding together. So as you guys learn, we get to learn as well. Great. And very similar too, we also branch into first aid as well, which we'll also do for the Certificate 3 to give you guys that qualification. But you'll notice that we do a couple more. So we do compliance and education, so this is more of the governance and academic level, as well as very much the developing cooperative behaviour, which is something that will come into very much handy, which is that guidance of behaviour as you go. So it just gives you that little bit of a higher level of thinking. Great. Thanks, Alex. And as I mentioned already, there's 23 units, so we get given a comprehensive unit list at the start of the class for your diploma as well as your Certificate 3, and it breaks it down over 18 months. So you notice that these units will also take a little bit longer to go through, as there's a little bit more depth involved, but also too, it allows us the opportunity to really get into the topics over time and allow you guys to really develop your understanding. The key ones that we'll notice is that developing teams and individuals, but also apply digital solutions to the work processes. So the next step very much is understanding the administrative side, but also the dynamics of how to work with team, how to work with people, and it's very much people-based as well as it is working with the children as well. So it's just that next level over. So as I mentioned with the Certificate 3, it's very much broken down into very similar structure, except it's over an 18-month period. So you'll be doing units every week, and through those units we'll be breaking it down into 2 days per week on campus. And in the 2 days per week, we very much are in the classroom together, face-to-face, and then very similar to the online delivery as well. And we also recommend 1 day of preparation and study at home, but also that allows you to go a little bit deeper as you go with that extra day during the week. And the best part about it too is that we have facilities here at Bendigo King Institute, particularly with our library facility, which is wonderful and magnificent. You guys get login details, access to printers, computers, books, resources, classrooms as well, study spaces. And so the best part about it is that you guys get the most out of the opportunity, but also allows you guys to really make the most of your own study travels and really create your own study path as well. So breaking it down, we start on the 30th of Jan, pretty similar dates to the Cert 3, except we go throughout 2019 and then venture into the next following year from there. And the good thing about that too is that over the period of time, you really start to essentially perpetuate that knowledge as well. And then you guys, by the end of it, are really starting to become the experts of the knowledge as well, which is really great. Class run from 9 to 4 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, it's very easy for us to talk with you guys and build the flexibility around that as well. And also too, in building that flexibility, as long as you guys come and talk to us prior to class, we're more than happy to work with you guys as well. But they're the times very much to get the most out of the course as well. Different to the Certificate 3, this will be run on a Wednesday and Thursday, and they'll be our main days, but also too, you have access to the teachers throughout the week through emails, telephones, and we have a lovely administrative officer who works very closely with you guys as well. So assessments are quite similar. So for every unit, we work with both a quiz and assessment task. The assessment task may be a little bit more involved, and the quiz questions may be a bit more in depth. Very much the quiz questions are structured around multiple choice, but also short answer and long answer questions as well, just to sort of test your knowledge. But it also gives you guys a bit of a gauge of how much you're retaining in class and where you need to sort of improve and build from there. So don't be scared, don't be alarmed. We're very much happy to work with you. And one thing I didn't mention before too was that with the quizzes you get 3 attempts, and very much that's not a process to sort of set you guys up for failure, but to support you guys. We are here to make sure that you guys get the most out of this education, but also too that we get you over that finish line. We very much are passionate about people who want to go over that next step and who are really passionate about their studies, so we are here to support you every step of the way. So that's why those 3 attempts are there for you as well. With placements as well, the best part about placements, again, like I said, we have an administrative officer who works with placements as our placement coordinator, and in working as a coordinator, she builds those relationships. And once again, just making sure that you're getting onto the National Police Check and working with Children Check. The structure is slightly different with this one, so you will have 1 2-week placement at the very beginning, and then from there you'll have 2 4-week placements. So in your 2 4-week placements, also remember that is an opportunity to demonstrate your leadership skills, where you get a chance to essentially be a room leader for that period of time. So your first 4 weeks, you get to be a room leader for 1 week, just to sort of experience it, shadow the room leader, get a bit of an idea, make some decisions. And then by the time your final placement comes around, we give you half the time, so we give you 2 weeks to be a room leader and really throw yourself into that environment and just learn as much as you possibly can. But also gives you a chance just to see how you might travel in a room environment where you are making the decisions, but also gives you that chance to really put your classroom skills into practice as you go. But we very much support you through the process and we build you up from there. And a part of that too is a portfolio presentation replacement. So you're developing a big portfolio book with a series of tasks you work through, but we will very much discuss that well and truly as each unit comes up, and then as each unit comes up, we'll do that together on placement as well. Expectations. So this is something very much applies to both Certificate 3 and Diploma. So our expectations in class are very similar to your expectations for coming here and studying. We very much expect you guys to understand that this is an education environment. This is an environment where we want to all get the most out of it. So setting up some boundaries and guidelines to start with, just make sure that everyone in the classroom really gets the most, but also too, we're keeping each other in check as well. And that's the best part, is that these guys are pretty much going to be your family for the next 6 to 18 months. So you really get to know each other quite well, and you guys understand how the classroom works and the dynamics built. So we really just want to build a great culture from the very start. So some of the things to take note of is that we just expect that you attend all classes. The most valuable reason is that we very much want you to guys get the most out of it. So you very much get the most out of the classroom discussions, being with each other and talking through that as well. And very much similar to the courtesy that we show you guys by rocking up here early to each class, is that we expect you guys to be here at 9 AM each day. And in doing so, that just gives us a chance to really start off from there, and which gives us a really good foot for the rest of the day. Participate in activities and discussions. So obviously, well and to prepare you guys for classroom, we will be doing discussions and presentations. And so this is very much a supportive and safe environment, and we want to build that culture so that way in a safe environment, you guys are very much ready and prepared for whatever is out in the industry as you go. Provide feedback and be open to feedback. So we're very much willing to learn. We are so excited to get each new cohort, and with each new cohort we pick up something new. So if you guys can provide us with feedback, but also to be willing to receive feedback from us where we sit down with you and your classmates as well. So the more feedback you get, the more you can grow and the more you can learn. And the best part is that you never stop learning. So I've been in the industry for several years now, and also before that I volunteered at my local church. But the best part about that is that you never ever stop learning and never stop growing. Also complete assessments on time. So obviously each assessment will have a deadline, and we'll explain that a lot more into the first class and orientation. But with that, essentially just making sure we keep on top of those assessments, because once you start to drop 1 or 2 behind, you really start to sort of sell yourself a little bit short as the assessments start to catch up on you. So we really just want to make sure that you guys have the most out of the opportunity. So we also have study plans we can sit down with. We have wonderful support services, study services that can really just support you through that process as well. Respect each other. So that's one I don't have to talk on too much, because I know that you guys are going to show an abundance of respect for each other, and I have the utmost respect for you guys, because you guys are coming into a new environment, you're educating, you're courageous in coming here and studying. So if you guys can show each other that much respect, then that is all we can ever ask for from you guys. Mobile phones, obviously this is another one that is quite topical. Everyone has a mobile phone, pretty straightforward. All we ask is that you switch it off. You're welcome to use it during break times and lunch times, but just to show respect to whoever's in the classroom. If for some reason you do have to take a phone call, please just let us know and remove yourself from the classroom, so that way we can continue on to learn and discuss as we go. And then appropriately clean and casual dress. So you guys do not very much have to come in formal gear whatsoever. We don't have a classroom uniform here, but if you guys are coming in and just your comfortable casual clothes, just be aware that this is very much a simulation environment for what an employee might think. So we want to prepare you guys the most and get those employability skills into you. So if you just come in neat and tidy clothes that you're really comfortable in, we're going to be doing great stuff for the day. But also too, it gives you an opportunity just to prepare for placement and so forth as well. The best part about that too is that when placement comes around, we do get placement shirts, which just gives us essential ownership over the course, but also too, you guys belong here. This is your institute, this is your tape, so the best opportunity is you guys get to represent yourselves from there. So they'll be discussed more in class as we go, shirt sizes and so forth, but just to be aware that that's part of the course as well. Further study options. So this is something obviously we've said that the Certificate 3 goes into the Diploma, but the Diploma also goes into several bachelors along the way as you go. One of the main ones is the Bachelor of Early Learning up at La Trobe. So we have this great partnership with La Trobe where we can very much branch pathways over. So if you're very much interested in further study options, by all means please come and talk to us, or during the course or at the end of your course. We want to best prepare you guys for moving forward as you go. So if you're interested in moving forward into higher education, please by all means come down and sit with us. So entry requirements for today, obviously we will ask that you are over 18 years old. Hopefully we talked to Alice through a few of these as well. But today's information session was very much to give you guys an overview and understanding. One of the other elements of today is what's called a language literacy and numeracy test. Alice would refer to it as an LL and N test. That's not very much our way of testing you guys and making sure under like extreme circumstances we test you guys. No, it's the complete opposite. It's our way of gauging how you guys are going to travel during the course to best prepare you, to best provide you with an opportunity to really succeed in this course. So we go through a math and a literacy test, and that may take some time, but you take it at your own pace as we go, and we'll discuss that more once we go into the element testing. Also too, very much we're going to complete a pre-training review form. So this is sitting down with one of our lovely teachers here. And they'll go through you with the process, and in going through with the process, they'll also very much sit down, get to know you a little bit, ask you a series of questions, but also to allows you the opportunity to ask some questions, and when we can tailor this opportunity to you a bit more so. So once you've completed those, we then move on to the next process for fees. Unfortunately, I won't spend too much time on this. Alice is very much a bit of a guru on this, and she'll provide you with a lot more tailored information as well. And that information may be personal to you. So just to give you a bit of a disclaimer before I go forward, it's just to make sure that these are actually more estimates or averages. These may be subject to change, but also these are dependent on your eligibility for certain funding as well. So just keeping in mind that we will very much sit with you and understand those questions and understand who you are and when you've come from, so that we can best tailor the fees to you as well. So just keeping in mind the certificate 3, so we've got funded, which is at $2,659, so that's a funded course. And then minus the $202 for materials and $126 for consumables. So how that very much works, and please, I'm not the best on numbers, so don't stress too much if you aren't either. But with funded, that's government funding, and so if you're eligible for that funding, we can very much fund you through the course, and we just subtract the amount for your materials and your consumable costs, which is very much the resources that we've got in our sim room, your t-shirts, your textbooks, and so forth as well. So by all means, that's the best part, is that this course is very much here to support you guys financially. So by all means, if you've got those questions, come to us. And then also too, if you've got a concession card, so that's for anyone who holds a healthcare card or a pension card, very much come and talk to us, because then that dramatically reduces the cost as well. Similar to the diploma, the same structure, so it's funded, so a little bit more because it's obviously over a longer period of time, and then very much again with the concession, it drops down a bit, minus the consumables as well from there. So very much happy to sit down and talk with you guys, and Alice is too much of. Recognition of prior learning. This is just our fancy way of saying if you've studied something similar to this before, previous few years ago you might have studied a similar qualification, if not the certificate 3. Things start to change over time, but this allows us the opportunity for you to get some of the units by showing your old work as well. So this is our way of allowing us to essentially fast track. So if you do have experience, if you do wonder, oh, I've done something pretty similar, come and talk to us. So we can very much sit down with you and work you through that process as well. So if you've got any questions around that, by all means, please come and talk to us. The next element very much is a credit transfer. So if you've done a similar qualification and they've got identical units, you notice too that each unit has a code. So if you're unsure, once again, come and talk to us. But if it has the same code, then very much we're happy to sit down with you, and that will very much allow you guys just a flexible, provide your program to suit you. So if you've done 3 or 4 units, then that takes away from the total of 18 for the certificate 3, which means you've only got the 14 left to do from there. So very much, if you have that opportunity, saves you guys doing it again and again, very much come and talk to us. Alright, so what happens after an interview? So obviously we've had the information session now, you're going to be doing the LNN testing, and then once you've done that, you're going to have a pre-training interview with a teacher, and then once you've got a bit of an idea, from there we're going to go into, once you've completed your LNN test and had your interview, you'll be advised by either Alice or the teacher or myself as to how you travelled, and whether or not there's a position available for you as well, and you've been successful in your application. From there, we'll give you a series of paperwork and information around enrolment forms. There's a bit of a great package that Alice has really created, just to give you guys a bit of a breakdown of how it all works. So that documentation is then taken to our enrolment centre, and if you need directions or a guide, please, we're more than happy to walk you over there, so just come and talk to us. But the information session was very much a way to bridge you into enrolment, so you can't actually, unfortunately, participate in the class unless you've enrolled. So when you venture over to enrolment, you take your documentation that Alice has provided you with, and in that should be your eligibility forms and any enrolment packs that you do have. but also to making sure that you're noting and taking aware of what you actually need to bring along in addition to that. So making sure you bring along your Medicare card, your full birth certificate with your name accurate. Now, if you do have your marriage certificate as well where you've changed your name, please by all means bring that along just in case to be safe. As well as a current healthcare card if you're on concession or looking after a pension, as well as a photo ID. So that's simple, it's just a license or an old student ID card. But that just gives us a way to really sort of streamline the process as well. And as soon as you guys are enrolled, then very much that's your ticket into class. So any help to that process, we are here to talk to you through. The forms are there for you to break down. But if you feel comfortable in doing so, by all means, you guys can go and enroll anytime you like. Our enrollment desk is open anytime during the day. Great, and if you have any questions, by all means, please just contact Alice or myself. Great, and so Alice Fraser, who is our lovely admin project officer, is here for any questions you may have. Hopefully you've already spoken to her this morning. If not, get a chance to say hello, say good day. She is an abundance of information and she's more than happy to help, and she's always a friendly face if you're ever having any questions. So please, I can't say it enough. I said it a million times this morning, come and talk to us, come and see us. Great, and thank you guys so much for your time today. It's been a blessing to get to know you a bit. Hopefully over the morning I get to know you a little bit more, and you get to meet our lovely teachers. But thank you very much again for your time, and all the best whatever you decide to do. I'm really excited to see so many smiling faces here.